Happy Wednesday, everyone. So, this week I am talking to you about something called shadow work. Now, shadow work is the process of uncovering the shadow self. Okay, so your shadow self is the parts of your personality, the parts of you that you have hidden and are ashamed of due to how you were raised and what you were taught to believe. So basically, it means that as you were a child, you were kind of just like your true, most authentic self as a baby. And then as you got older and you started to be yourself and act in that way and behave certain ways, you learn from those around you, whether it was your parents or siblings or your caretakers or whoever, you learned that the way you were behaving made you unlovable or made you unworthy or made you any number of things, okay? So this whole shadow work process is about figuring out how to uncover those aspects, because most of the time they're deep in our subconscious. It's not something that you can just write about and like pop, all your shadows, okay? It is something that takes a really long time to like keep, in my opinion, jabbing at. You just keep jabbing, digging, and that's when it slowly starts to come out. So that's why they call it work, because it takes a lot of effort and mindfulness to really keep digging and keep digging deeper into your subconscious. So I'm basically going to tell you today about ways that you can start to uncover some of your shadows. How can you start to integrate it into yourself, and why it's important. So I've already kind of talked about a little bit of it, but let me just go a little bit deeper. So when I first learned about shadow work, this was my previous coach who was telling me to read this book by Debbie Ford. It's called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And this book is basically an introduction and I want to say like a leap into shadow work. It gives you exercises to deeply dig in, to your shadow self, okay? And she told me about this, and I did not do it for years. It took me about 2 years to finally pick up the book and actually start digging into it. And I was resistant because we don't want to find out and learn about or admit the shittiest parts of ourselves. We don't want to admit about the shameful parts of ourselves. We don't want to bring those to the surface because it's scary, it's uncomfortable, right? But when we start to do that, it stops having power over us, right? It stops having you react certain ways to certain people or situations. It removes that reactiveness when you have accepted it and are able to like integrate that into your current self. Okay, so why is that important? Because guaranteed you have met someone who just fucking pisses you off for no reason, okay, right? Or no reason, but you just don't like them, okay? And this is one of the ways that you can learn about your shadow. So by identifying the people who somehow really trigger you, for again, a trigger is when you like have no real reason to be upset or emotional, but you are. So you could be triggered by something very simple, like dishes in the sink when the dishwasher is clean. I'm triggered by that. But so this is basically looking at other people and seeing in them the things that are annoying you or pissing you off or causing an emotional reaction out of you. It's looking at them and seeing that quality in yourself, because people are mirrors for us. Okay, so that person who you have that reaction to is showing you something in yourself that you don't like. And yeah, it's hard to fucking admit that. It is very hard. I struggle with this with people in my family, with my sister. I think she's closed-minded, and sometimes that really pisses me off. And I've been able to change that in my mind and be like, oh, I'm triggered by that because I'm closed-minded too. I'm closed-minded in a lot of situations, and I didn't want to admit that because I wanted to believe that I am this open-minded person who's ready to listen to anyone's opinion or anyone's story from wherever, but I am super closed-minded sometimes, even though I don't want to be. That is part of myself. That is part of me, okay? But I have worked super hard because of being closed-minded to try to be open-minded. So it almost, in a way, helped me because now I really try to see people with a blank slate without feeling judgments before I actually talk to them or get to know them. So that's just one way, but there are like literally a million different ways. I could go on and on, but this is like the key way, and I think for me is the most useful and the easiest to really start dipping your toe into the shadow work is by noticing the people around you or the situations that just fucking piss you off so badly. Okay, so I'll just keep using examples of myself because it's the easiest to explain to you. But for me, I get super pissed off when I'm driving and people are driving like assholes around me. It really, really makes me mad. Like, serious case of road rage right here. And I realized after doing some shadow work around this is that I am an asshole when I drive, okay? I didn't want to admit that because I wanted to be the nice, courteous driver that I wanted to believe I was, or how I think people should be. But I am not a nice, courteous driver. I'm an asshole, okay? So I had to look at myself and see, wow, like, that's pissing me off because I have that within me and I'm ashamed about it. But when I bring it to the light, it doesn't have power over me anymore, and I'm less pissed off by traffic. So it's a continual noticing your triggers. So to start doing this, just look at the people closest to you. What do they do that pisses you off? Like on a deeper level, like something that's not that important. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's what a trigger is. It's not that important, but it really, really upsets you. So maybe it is dishes in the sink, or maybe it's the bathroom not being clean or something. But you really want to dig into what's triggering you and looking at yourself and seeing where that is within you. And this is where journaling can really, really help you to dig into it more. So you can realize that being on the road and having asshole drivers around you pisses you off. So you write down that's your trigger, and then you start to question yourself and say, why do I feel that way? What about the shitty drivers or the asshole drivers really gets to me? And how have I exhibited that in the past? And then you can say, how has this helped me? Which is a harder one to get to, but this is where the work comes in. It takes a long time to figure this stuff out, but how has it helped you? Like, what has being that sort of driver helped you do? And in this situation, I could say, well, it's helped me get to where I want to go a little bit faster, or maybe it's helped me stay away from certain situations because I was able to quickly maneuver. Okay, so this is just the beginning of shadow work. I'd love to dig into this more because I think it's truly fascinating. And the whole thing with it is that once you're able to integrate these shadow parts of yourself, you will feel more worthy and you'll start attracting more of what you want. So this is what I tried to do because I got goals, bitch. Like, I'm trying to do things, okay? So I am trying to integrate some of these personality traits that I don't love to figure out how I can have them have less power over me so that I can get what I want, so that I'm not so reactive, so that I can truly be the most amazing person that I can be, that I can be my highest self. Because that's the goal here. I want to be all these things. I want to be an amazing girlfriend and wife eventually. I want to be an amazing mother. But you can't do that if you can't accept the bad parts about yourself. You can't show other people how to do it if you don't start doing it first. Okay? So, to recap, shadow work is important because it's going to help you accept yourself more and start attracting what you want, because you'll have higher self-worth, you'll have more acceptance for yourself, and you will eventually, again, goal here is being happier, right? So eventually you'll get more of what you want and be happier. And then a trigger is a simple little thing that really is insignificant but really pisses you off. And then lastly, I just want to say, if you're interested in this, please read the book, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie Ford, and do the exercises. It is amazing. Now, if you liked this video, please go down below and comment or like it, and I'd love to hear what you thought about this and any questions. I really want to dig into this more, and I'm sure there are plenty of questions because this shit is complicated. And if you have resistance towards this, which I did, because who the hell wants to get uncomfortable like this, tell me about that too. Why are you scared to do this? All right? So, I hope you have an amazing Wednesday, and I'll be talking to you very soon.